Ready?
Yes.
Alright. Hi, I'm Ian, and tonight me and my partner Nick will be debating that the three strikes law should be revised to have the third strike be a violent offense. So first I'm going to start with a little history of the three strikes law, and then go over the problems of it. So the three strikes law was first put in effect in 1994, and the murder of Polly Klaas, who was 14 years old at the time, in October 1993, was when California politicians first put the three strikes law in effect, basically. Richard Davis had a huge criminal record, but before he finally got put away for life for the murder and rape of Polly Klaas. People thought a man with such a record like his should have been put in jail a long time ago. Thus, a year later, the law was in effect. So, me and my partner's three reasons on why the three strikes law should be revised are: one, because of the problems with the overpopulated prisons; two, the taxes are higher because of it; and three, it violates the 8th Amendment. So the first reason about the overpopulated prisons: the overpopulated prisons are causing some big financial problems, safety problems, and other problems that we would not have to deal with as much if we revised the three strikes law. According to F10.MPG, since the law was put in effect in 1994, as of 2006, there was an increase from 23,511 inmates to 173,000 inmates. That is a substantial increase, which has caused many problems. Studies also show that it costs $113,187 to build a maximum security prison per prison bed. That is a lot of extra money that we could use on other things. Another problem with the overpopulation of the prisons that arises is health and safety issues for not only the inmates, but the guards as well. All these people who have been charged with 25 years until life counts are going to start getting older and will need more health attention, which is going to cost us. Professor Philip Zimbardo, an American psychologist and professor emeritus at Stanford, stated that in 1989 there were 100 coronary bypass operations on inmates nationally, and the correction policies required 2 correction officers to be assigned to watch them through their hospital recovery period. Imagine the expense of these surgeries alone then when you have 126,000 inmates over age 50, making up a full 20% of the state prison population. Zimbardo also went on to say that current prisons will have to be revamped to satisfy laws about access for many more handicapped elderly. All this money adds up and could be prevented if we just revise the three strikes law to having the third strike be a violent offense. Less people would be in prison, which means less health care would be needed. Also, since there are so many people in prisons right now, there's a lot more fighting and injuries in that manner, which is also a health problem that we have to pay for because of the overcrowding. So, and Barter stated on that young men doing 10-year terms for drug convictions or other nonviolent crimes will take their revenge out on weaker inmates or those without a support network in prison. So for the safety of everyone and from a financial aspect, we need to revise this law. So the problem with overpopulation in the prison brings me to my next point about the tax problem with the unrevised three strikes law. In an article called Repealing California's Three Strikes Law, writer Seth Sandronsky says that the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, which now holds 173,000 prisoners, has an $8.75 billion budget for current fiscal years, or 8.5% of spending. This is just one institute that is having money issues that us as citizens of America have to pay for. Estimations show that one healthy inmate costs about $20,000 a year, and costs are estimated to increase about 3 times when inmates start to get older. If we would get rid of the harmless people in prisons, then we would not have to pay for as many of these prisoners. According to F10.MPG, in 2009, California spent $9.3 billion just on their prisons and jails. I don't know about all you guys, but I mean we should be spending our money on bigger issues like our schooling in California, not just on the prisons. So we should not have to spend it on the prisons, and if we would revise this three strikes law so only violent and dangerous people are in jail, then we would not have to throw away so much money. And my final point is how we should revise the three strikes law, because how it is now, it violates the 8th Amendment. A columnist for the Huffington Post stated that the original intent of the law was to stop violent criminals, but the result has been that criminals with a history of minor offenses such as petty theft or drug dealing are being sent away for longer terms than criminals who commit violent acts. People who are not being a threat to society are going to jail for life because the third strike does not have to be a violent offense. And for all you guys that don't know, the 8th Amendment states that there should be no cruel and unusual punishment should be inflicted. And one of the most famous cases, which I'm sure a few of you have heard, was about Leandro Andrade, case that was seen on 60 Minutes back in 2003. He was sentenced to 25 years of life for selling $153.54 worth of Disney movies. And another example is Richard Morgan, who was sentenced to 26 years to life for shoplifting a baseball glove. So I'm pretty sure these examples speak for themselves and show how our current form of the three strikes law violates the Eighth Amendment. Here's an actual hypothetical situation that shows why, another reason why we should change it. Just imagine an 18-year-old kid gets in a fist fight at school and somehow the recipient of that charges him for assault. So that's just one strike on his record already. Then 3 years later, he's 21, out in a bar, and he gets in a bar fight. That's his second strike. 10 years later, he gets caught with a small amount of drugs, and he gets prosecuted for a felony because of that. That's 25 years to life just for that. I mean, I feel like that's a little unfair just for what he did. But with our current three strikes law, this is a reality. So in my eyes, certain crimes deserve different punishments. Political author Joe Masurley states the specific reason we have judges, juries, and lawyers is that each situation deserves fair analysis and punishment. A one-size-fits-all system of judgment destroys the flexibility. There needs to be more control over the situation, basically. So these examples I just showed you all an idea to support me and my partner's point on how current version of three strikes law needs to be revised. So before I sit back down, I hope the points I just talked about overpopulated prisons, the increase of taxes, and the violation of the Eighth Amendment, I hope they'll persuade you. And I think our own LA District Attorney, Steve Cooley, put it best when he was interviewed about revising the three strikes law, when he stated that we need to either fix it or lose it. Thank you.